How far could we go using rational argument? Because, like you said, for the explanation of the Big Bang, you didn't even want to use all the theory,
the science,
because we have 17. And I give you another example. For example, you see Muslim people nowadays, they try to give scientific explanation to halal and haram, why it's haram and why it's halal.
Yes.
In a scientific point
because
of
we're
view.
stupid, that's why.
Yeah. How far should we go?
I don't know, it depends how long your whip is. Honestly, someone's in a good whipping just to wake up. Bit of Umar medicine, yeah? Someone asked the question, they put him in a sheet, beat him up, and he got up and they said, do you understand? He said, no. They beat him up again, he got up, they said, do you understand? He said, I understand now. By the way, I know this is Canada, I don't advocate any violence. This is mubalagha, rhetorical speaking. It's a joke, don't take it personally. I know you're a bunch of snowflakes, relax, take a chill pill. Okay? I'm a peaceful guy, I couldn't harm a fly. Okay? In actual fact, I had a boxing fight with a fly, and the fly won. So, just in case, because I know there's a lot of sensitivities going on, right? I don't advocate violence at all, unless it's sanctioned in a boxing ring with promoters and you get at least $1 million for it. Or if your name is Khabib, right? I'll smash your boy. Alhamdulillah. Right, anyway, so you're right. So on a serious level, my beloved, there is a limit, as we said in the beginning, for rational arguments. There's a point where you go so much that it becomes irrelevant to any normal discourse because you want to awaken the fitrah. And the ulama who would engage in this type of stuff, they did it for a particular reason. I would argue that one of the reasons is to preserve the deen. I don't think it would ever recommend it. Like for example, if you read Al-Ghazali's Tahafut al-Falasifa, the Incoherence of the Philosophers, it wasn't meant for someone next door. Right? It wasn't meant for him. In actual fact, Al-Ghazali advised, don't give people these arguments if they're okay. You might make them sick. Only give these arguments to someone who's already sick, right? Because medicine for a sick person will make them better, but if you're okay and you take medicine, you may get harmed, right? So, you're right, there is a limit. And secondly, when people start to, and this is a different discussion, side of topic, but the reason people start to prove halal and haram using science is because they have an inferiority complex, frankly. Or they don't know science and they don't know Islam. Usually it's an inferiority complex because if you knew epistemology, the sources of knowledge, how we get to know truth, you would know that Islam, divine knowledge, is al-ilm, that's qat'i, yeah, that's definite, generally speaking. But if you go to science, you see that is al-ilm al-dhan, it's dhanni, meaning it is speculative from the point of view that you can have another observation that can contradict previous conclusions. We're going to discuss this tomorrow about the philosophy of science, but the point is, it's limited from that point of view. So how can you say, when I became Muslim, right, I read an article, I remember it was from a doctor saying, prayer is good for you, and I don't remember clearly what it was saying, but it was to this nearest effect. Prayer is good for you because it's very good for your tricep muscles. It strengthens your tricep muscle. Yeah. Would you believe it? So you're really praying just because you want a bigger tricep. Oh, what's going on, man? If you want a bigger tricep, you go to the gym, bro, you do those pull downs. You ain't gonna do no salah. Right? Salah is about worshipping Allah. And the reason we have fallen for this trap is because we're suffering from a post-colonial complex. We have a lot of post-colonial trauma that we're going through. Because it's the white man and the white coat and there's some kind of material progress, we have to be the same. No. Yes, love science, respect science. Even those guys that you're referring to, they would tell you not to do what you're doing. Because they would say, look, science can change. Why are you trying to squeeze, some kind of scientific explanation for your spirituality and your theology? It's ridiculous. So yeah, we learn and we live and we just re-educate our brothers and sisters, inshallah. Yes, Sheikh.
The looking at the hikam behind salah or fasting, there is no problem with that. I don't know your point exactly.
No, I disagree with you.
Why?
There's a difference between the maqsad, between the objective, the hikmah, and science. Because how can you say, even if you have a maqasid mindset, which is fine, what is the maqasid? It is the rationalization of the hikmah of the ahkam. Okay? So we are rationalizing in categories the hikmah of the ahkam. Correct? But you can't now say that the maqsad for salah is getting a tricep.
Yes, no.
But this is not even a hikmah. This is a product. It's a benefit, which is different from maqsad.
Yes. It is one of the package.
One of the package, yeah. but it's different from maqsad, do you understand, yeah?
Yeah. Fasting provides you with good health too, but it's not the only I'm not worshiping Allah or not doing fasting, yes, because my intention should be for worship. But is fasting beneficial to the body? Is prayer itself beneficial to the body? Why not?
Okay.
Science proved that.
Okay. What if science proves tomorrow that fasting is bad for the body? What are you going to do? Stop fasting?
I agree with you on that. If
there you go. And that's the problem with referring to science like that.
But does it mean that there is no probability at least?
No, I agree. But remember, we have to use our hikmah when talking about this, because if you're talking to people who are classically trained, they know about why Allah deserves worship, you know, the state of ubudiyyah and a state of servanthood to Allah, humility, debasement, connection with Allah, adoration. They know that's the raison d'etre, the reason for existence. And then when you add some scientific sprinkling in the context that they know it might change, but isn't it interesting? No problem.
Yes.
But if you give this to any Tom, Dick and Abdullah, like we do today, who hasn't got a general grounding, they would think subconsciously, because they live in an environment that is promoting that discourse, they would think, there has to be a scientific explanation that I have to hold on to give my salah some kind of justification. And that's why in the grand scheme of things, in our contemporary context, I would humbly say not to refer to it.
And even if we don't, I agree with this, yes, I agree with that, because sometimes even if we don't know the hikmah, even if the hikmah is hidden, it doesn't matter for us. We should still follow, and if we don't understand the hikmah of Allah for one of the commands of Allah, we sometimes cannot comprehend and understand all the hikam of Allah behind everything.
Because Allah has the picture, we just got a pixel. Absolutely. Any other questions on today? Yes. You may need a mic, sister, sorry.
At the end,
Jazakallah for the tea.
At the end, you mentioned that because Allah created us, we need to be grateful for the life that He gave us with pleasure. There is an argument actually that some people say, well, we didn't choose to be created. We're living a miserable life and we don't want to live this life. And
save that question for tomorrow when we're going to go through why Allah deserves worship. You're not here tomorrow. I sense that. Yeah, it's 3:35. Yes. 3? 45 or 40? Which one is it?
45. I mean, the prayer is at itself should be at 3:45.
Yeah, so we'll break at 3:40. Okay? So, any more questions before we go for the break? By the way, 3:45, 4, yeah. We should be finishing by 4:45, 5 o'clock. Yes, sir.
Actually, it's the same question brother in the back who asked about page 15. It has some good things about it, even like happiness, intelligence, better job, right, self-realize.
Yeah, that's your homework. Come back to me tomorrow on that. Any other questions? We have 5 minutes before. Yes, sir.
It's about the Big Bang theory. So I read a speech before by Zakir Naik saying the Quran and the science. The Quran has been specified.
Yeah, Zakir Naik's wrong.
It's not specified in the Quran.
No. Where? If you study the Big Bang, how can you even squeeze it into the Quran? I don't get why people do that. Listen, let me tell you very clearly, yeah? By the way, when I say he's wrong, he's better than me. But he's wrong. Yeah, I just want to make something clear. That doesn't mean that I think I'm better. Don't make that confusion, because sometimes Shaitan whispers to some of our brothers, because I said someone's something wrong, I think I'm better. I am not better. If you knew my sins, you would spit on me. So it's nothing to do with that. But let me make something very clear. We have destroyed the Dawah by thinking there are scientific miracles in the Quran. I repeat, we have destroyed the Dawah. In actual fact, it proves we don't know our Lord, we don't know our Aqidah, we don't know our creed, we don't know anything. We don't even know science. It's a gross ignorance. And it's a gross ignorance of Islamic history, because it has to assume certain things that you have to ignore some of the seerah. It is a joke, yeah? Science changes. The things that we use to prove the Quran are things that can change. And things that we use to prove the Quran were already known by the Greeks anyway. For example, alaqa. It's a blood clot. Galen knew this already. For example, the moon has its own light. Nuran, it's borrowed light. The Greeks knew this 500 years BC, 1200 years before the Prophet ﷺ. In actual fact, they were more specific. They said the moon doesn't have its own light. Its light is from the sun. This was Thales and Anaxagoras. Check this out for yourself. When we said iron came down from heaven, yeah? Because you find iron in meteorites, and iron ore is from meteorites on earth. Ah, miracle. No, the Egyptians knew this, I think, 500 years before the Common Era. They used to call iron Ba-en-Pet, which means iron from heaven, literally. Yeah? The point here is we have made a joke out of the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We've taken human limited knowledge and squeezed it into the Quran. Yeah? These verses are so profound, and yet they are also very ambiguous. They don't give you any specific detail, because many of these verses concerning the creative world are deliberately ambiguous to get you to think about them, that there is a power and wisdom behind them, and therefore Allah deserves worship. It's not to give you specifics, because there are no specifics, because they're ambiguous to the point that any mindset, any level of understanding, even if it's a primitive level of understanding, can interpret those words in line with their current knowledge, which could be wrong and it could be right. That is the amazing nature of the Quran from a linguistic point of view, because it uses words that have many layers of meaning, and those layers of meaning can address different mindsets across time. Allahu Akbar. But you can't start saying, how did the Prophet ﷺ know? It's impossible that he took knowledge. This is ridiculous. Sahih Muslim, Hadith. The Sahaba asked the Prophet ﷺ about cohabiting with their wives when they were breastfeeding. And the Prophet ﷺ said what? I looked into the Romans, I looked into the Persians. It didn't harm them, so he allowed it for them. He gained scientific medical knowledge from other civilizations. There's a beautiful thing about this hadith. It teaches us share knowledge, right? So, Big Bang, when we have to be consistent. The evolution theory is stronger than the Big Bang. So why reject one and accept the other? Total inconsistency in methodology. Also, the Big Bang is not even a fact. From that point of view, from a colloquial understanding, there are 17 different models that explain the same data. So, and what's interesting about the Big Bang, and Allah says the heaven and earth were together, right, and we split them asunder, some would argue, well, there is Sumerian literature around 6,000 years before the Quran that says the heaven and earth were together and they were split asunder. So the point is, you don't lie when it comes to your deen just to win an argument. The deen doesn't need us to lie or to create give wrong methodologies to try and prove the Quran. The Quran has so many other amazing arguments. The point is, and this is not to say that the Quran or the Prophet ﷺ actually copied anything. No, of course not. Because if that's the case, why is there no inaccuracies, which is really powerful? But that's not the issue here. The issue is that the Quran uses a language that seems to be deliberately ambiguous when it refers to natural phenomena, in a way to get us to think, so it could be timelessly available to us. So if you have a primitive 7th century understanding of that word, you are still going to get what you need, which is there is a wisdom and power behind the universe. But if you have a more advanced understanding, you will still get what you need. What's miraculous from this point of view is that the Quran uses a language that is not only representative of the 7th century, it's timeless. That's the beauty. But there's no scientific miracles. Even the term scientific miracle doesn't make sense. Right? It's a wrong methodology. It can change. Like Jalis Rahman, Professor Jalis Rahman, he makes a really good point. He says, science is time-bound. How can you use a time-bound methodology to prove something that is timeless? The timeless wisdom of the Quran. So yeah, so I'll humbly say it's inaccurate, it's wrong. I've got an essay on this. I could share with you, inshallah.